Wonder that in 2021, San Francisco issued only 2,000 permits for new homes. Sure, there are people living in the streets, but that's because we want to make sure the apartments they don't live in are perfect. I don't fear AI anymore because it couldn't possibly be any more robotic than the humans who run things now. Heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated. San Francisco, the city's so nice you'll step in poop twice. It's an area where homeless people were urinating and defecating, and it was starting to annoy the people breaking into cars. So the city tried to build a public toilet last year, but then gave up when the cost hit $1.7 million. Not $1.7 million for a public toilet system. $1.7 million for one toilet.
Bill Maher is still going off about award shows, and it might explain why he skips this year's Golden Globes altogether. He's been vocal about how these events have changed, especially in recent years, drifting away from entertainment and straight into ideological territory. Maher has never hidden his frustration with what he sees as woke messaging taking over Hollywood. And if sharp, no-holds-barred political commentary is your thing, this is exactly the kind of moment he lives for.
This network of regulators, administrators, inspectors, contract reviewers, project managers, fee assessors, special commissioners, zoning officers, and consultants whose jobs seem to be to make sure nothing ever happens and then charge you for it. The people who answer the phone, "Permit office, how may I hinder you?"
Maher kicked things off by taking a direct shot at the Oscars, calling out the growing list of new categories that seem less about film and more about pleasing activists. In his view, many of these additions have little to do with real cinematic achievement and everything to do with checking ideological boxes. He zeroed in on one category in particular, questioning why it even exists and what it actually celebrates. To Maher, it's proof that awards shows are no longer about honoring great work, but about signaling moral alignment. That shift, he suggested, is exactly why he has little interest in attending events like the Golden Globes anymore. While he hasn't officially confirmed his absence, his message is clear. Hollywood is prioritizing social approval over storytelling, and Maher isn't playing along.
It feels like San Francisco is actually proud of being impossible. Asked about the toilet, a spokesman for the Department of Public Works said, "We are a city of public input." Okay, but I'm stepping in public output. Meanwhile, the median time to get approval to build a house there is 627 days. That's 217 days longer than it took to build the Empire State Building. You need 87 permits, 15 from the Planning Commission, 26 from the Public Utilities Commission and the Fire Department, 19 from building inspectors, 17 from the Public Works, 10 related to public spaces, and 1 from a guy in a t-shirt that says Federal Boob Inspector.
To be fair, some of the categories Maher jokes about are exaggerated or even made up, but that's the point. He uses humor as a spotlight, not a disguise. By stretching the truth just enough, he highlights how absurd the situation has become. Award shows that once celebrated creativity now feel like political rallies in tuxedos. Maher's satire isn't meant to mislead. It's meant to wake people up. His mix of ridicule and commentary forces viewers to ask whether these new categories honor art or simply reward ideological compliance. The laughs land because there's truth underneath them, and that's what makes his critique sting.
15% of workers in America work for the government. That's 24 million people with one shared vision: to fine you if your mailbox is too big. They say a conservative is a liberal who just got mugged, but it could also be a liberal who just got cock-blocked trying to remodel a porch. Oh, yeah. Or got a parking ticket because their car was facing out instead of in. Last year, Wyoming began construction on the largest wind farm in North America that will power 2 million homes in Arizona, Nevada, and California. And to think, it only took 18 years. Not to build it, to approve it. 18 backlogged, knuckle-dragging, pencil-pushing, thumb-twaddling, ball-scratching years.
Maher even turns the spotlight on himself, admitting he once bought into the glamour of awards culture. He was nominated for his most recent stand-up special, but he's quick to say that recognition isn't what drives him anymore. Trophies and red carpets don't motivate his work. His goal is to spark uncomfortable conversations and challenge popular narratives. Instead of adjusting his comedy to fit approved categories, he uses his platform to call out what he sees as nonsense. For Maher, the mission isn't applause. It's pushing audiences to think, even if that means upsetting the gatekeepers.
There's an area where homeless people were urinating and defecating, and it was starting to annoy the people breaking into cars. So the city tried to build a public toilet last year, but then gave up when the cost hit $1.7 million. Not $1.7 million for a public toilet system, $1.7 million for one toilet. And this wasn't some magic toilet that catches your phone when you drop it. So then a private company took pity on San Francisco and offered to build them their toilet for free. But after, quote, project management, construction management, architecture and engineering fees, permits, civic design review, surveys, contract preparation, and cost estimation, the free toilet was still going to cost almost $1 million.
Beyond complaining, Maher issues a challenge to Hollywood insiders. Actors, writers, producers, and executives, he says, need to stop quietly going along with the madness. Standing up might feel risky, but he argues the fear is mostly imaginary. The backlash usually fades within days, and careers don't actually implode the way people expect. According to Maher, silence only strengthens the grip of ideological pressure. Real progress comes when people push back and refuse to self-censor. He positions himself not just as a critic, but as someone urging the industry to rediscover courage and creative freedom.
Estimates that if the red tape could be cut on everything that's currently stuck in the renewable queue, the United States would be 80% zero carbon in 7 years. The enemy to clean air isn't just big oil, it's big permitting. It's not that America isn't able to get anything done. It's that we're not allowed to. Of course, there should be consideration of the environment on everything we build, but as so often happens on the left, they seem to have no ability to recognize when they've taken a concept way too far and are in fact hurting their own cause.
Today's TV shows and movies are often packed with social messaging, sometimes subtle, sometimes painfully obvious. Much of it comes from within production teams eager to inject ideology into every storyline. But Maher points out that not everyone in charge agrees with this direction. There are studio heads and executives who quietly resist, understanding that ideology-driven storytelling often turns audiences off. Some even push back publicly, choosing quality over conformity. Their existence proves that woke dominance isn't inevitable. With strong leadership, entertainment can still focus on compelling stories instead of moral lectures.
Come Gulliver, the giant that got tied down with 1,000 tiny ropes by Lilliputians, the horde of little people who do big damage. Build back better, sounds good. So does shovel-ready jobs. Yeah, exactly. As Barack Obama once said, one of the biggest lessons he learned as president was there is no such thing as shovel-ready projects. Environmental impact statements used to be a few pages long. Now they're thousands of pages of legalistic nonsense and take an average of 4.5 years to complete, with thousands of bureaucrats filling out millions of paper forms that kill hundreds of forests to answer the question, is this good for the environment?
Maher even floated the idea of creating a new award show, one that would honor people in Hollywood who stood up to ideological pressure. He pitched it as a way to celebrate courage, creativity, and independence. The idea went nowhere. It stalled before it ever had a chance to launch. What? That part remains unclear, but it's easy to guess. Either the executives were too comfortable with the current system or too afraid to challenge it. The failed pitch says a lot about Hollywood's climate, where even thoughtful ideas can die quietly if they threaten the status quo.
People living in the streets. But that's because we want to make sure the apartments they don't live in are perfect. I don't fear AI anymore because it couldn't possibly be any more robotic than the humans who run things now.
Another reason Maher may be skipping the Golden Globes is how award shows now treat comedians. Comedy used to be about pushing limits. Now it's treated like a liability. Jokes are judged through political filters, and careers can be derailed over comments made years ago. Kevin Hart's Oscars hosting fiasco is a perfect example. For Maher, this signals a deeper hostility toward humor itself. When comedy is constantly policed, it stops being comedy. He's long argued that laughter can't survive in an environment ruled by fear, and refusing to attend these shows may simply be his way of not endorsing a system that no longer respects the craft.
Not that there was ever any reason to build it in the first place, and not that there would be any reason to do it again, but just as an exercise in realizing how far we've regressed as the can-do people, I think we should all try to imagine how it will go down if we tried to sculpt Mount Rushmore out of a mountain today. First, we'd have to make the mountain handicap accessible, so we could hire handicapped people to work on the side of a mountain. Then there'd be a 10-year delay while we studied the effect of construction noise on the mating habits of woodchucks. Then another 10 years to obtain ethically sourced dynamite and find a sculptor who doesn't only work from home. And then another 2 years to apologize for being on Indian land.
Maher also takes aim at woke colleges, especially their decision to abandon standardized testing because it's deemed unfair or offensive. To him, this is ideology steamrolling common sense. Colleges are meant to challenge students, not shield them. Removing testing, he argues, lowers standards and turns higher education into a participation exercise. Maher isn't against opportunity, but he believes merit still matters. Intellectual rigor shouldn't be treated like a moral failing. He sees this trend as another example of feelings replacing facts, and he worries it ultimately harms both students and the institutions meant to educate them.
Any regulations that aren't necessary, I mean, you really don't believe that the state we live in, California, is lacking regulation. There's over 300,000 regulations. I mean,
Well, maybe they're needed.
They're not. When I tried to put in a garage door, I had to have 3 inspections. There should have been none. I should be allowed to change my garage door.
Are you kidding? Really? It was about a garage door?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that is...
No, you know this about California. Come
No,
on.
I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry. I don't.
You've never heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated? That we are a one-party state where there's sort of no checks on that sort of extreme leftism.
By the end, Maher's message ties together clearly. Hollywood has lost its compass. Award shows that once celebrated bold ideas and great performances now operate on fear and conformity. Comedians are sidelined, dissent is discouraged, and creativity takes a backseat to ideology. Maher's frustration isn't about being excluded. It's about principle. He believes art only thrives when creators are free to challenge norms without worrying about cancellation. His critique is less a rant and more a warning. If Hollywood doesn't correct course, these shows will keep losing relevance and credibility. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.